if we can be truthful about this, there's no benefit to having children. Honestly speaking, the only good thing is your name continuing. But also, if your name carries no weight, akho ndingako. If you also cannot raise them or you don't have resources, akho ndingako. There's people who gonna come and say when you're old they're gonna raise you. Look, there are people who've got 10, 8 children and none of them go home. Instead, they make grandchildren and leave them there. Mam dampe now. You understand? There's no benefit to having children. It's a nice to have. Bana bantwana. You understand? So when we put other people under pressure to have children, it's absolutely unnecessary. That thing is for when you want to reproduce, when you want to multiply a combo of you and whoever you're going to be having. But there's no financial benefit, there's no growth, there's no benefit. It's just a nice to have, ubana bantwana. And it's nicer when you can afford them.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Lynn and today I'm going to be talking about reproduction, having kids, and in particular I want to talk about being underprivileged and going through that experience. I want to start off by asking a question. When someone is underprivileged, they're in a situation where they cannot provide enough for themselves, they are struggling to know how to get the next meal, or they're struggling to buy something like shoes. Why is it that they still feel like it's okay to bring a kid to this world? Which makes me ask myself, when people are poor or are not in a situation where they can provide for a child, are they having children to prove to other people that they can and it is their right and they're old enough to do so? Because now it seems that way. I am asking because every time there is this discussion over kids and if some people have a right to, some people do not, people get very upset and they say that, oh, you can have kids, if you're poor you can have kids, and they start attacking, what do they say, the clever blacks think they know better, you can have a kid and still live your life. But there is so much untruth in that. It is not easy to have a kid and still build your life. And I don't know why it is that we are pushing this narrative that it can be done. Yes, it can be done. Of course, it should be done, because essentially, when you bring a kid to the world, you are supposed to make sure that it gets everything it needs and it stays alive. But it is not easy at all. It's not easy. And another clarity point I want to make: I am not attacking people who already have kids. If you already have a kid, this is not a video to attack you or to shame you. If you already have kids, actually. So I just want us to have an honest conversation about what it really means to have a child and how much work goes into it, and stop fantasizing about how this kid is going to bring you good fortune, is going to work harder than you, be smarter than you, be autistic, and get you out of the situation that you're in. Every single time this discourse happens, it's someone defending religion, culture, or the fact that we are humans. Like science, we are meant to multiply, and if it was true that not everyone is supposed to have a kid, then you would not be here. Which, I mean, it's not as bad as people make it sound. Like, you would not exist if your mother or your father did not believe in having kids. It wouldn't be a bad thing, because if I don't exist, then how will I know the pain of not having life? So I don't understand that notion, and it's really disappointing. Like, why are people fighting so hard for people to have kids? And the other argument is that government has placed people in these disadvantaged situations where they cannot do anything about it. So it is our right to get grants, it is our right to be assisted by the government. But the government can do so much, especially if your situation is very bad and you still need to take care of other things. You do not have the luxury to take care of yourself and your kid only. You have this big family, you have these big responsibilities. you are in debt, how is it that it is still okay to bring an innocent soul to the world, and you're just going to be like, no, God will make a plan? That is something I have an issue with. When you bring someone into this world and then you're going to just give it to God to sort out, I feel like you're not helping God sometimes when you sort of make your situation worse than it is. And I can't believe that I have to make this clarity because I'm sure it will be taken out of context. Kids are a blessing. Let's not get that wrong or misunderstand what I'm saying. Kids are a blessing. When I point out that kids can be an addition to your stress, it's not to say that it is a bad thing to have a kid or it is not a blessing. I am saying that you need to now think of your kid and everything else happening in your life. I am currently childless, and for me, I don't really think I want a kid. Looking at the responsibilities that come into raising a kid, not just monetarily, but emotionally. If you cannot show up for your kid monetarily, then there's a very, 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 very high chance that you cannot show up for them emotionally and in other ways. So I'm sure like it gets frustrating. I would not say that I come from a poor background. In fact, I think everything that I needed was given to me. However, I experienced my parents live a hand to mouth lifestyle because of the bills that were piling up, having to raise kids on her own. And though my dad helped here and there, it wasn't enough because he was helping here and there. It wasn't enough to have us not stress about money. It really wasn't enough at all. So in that regard, like, thank you, Mom. But the stress piles up so much that they cannot show up for their kids in the other aspects. Remember, if we only have 24 hours, then we can only do so much in those 24 hours. So if the parent is hustling to make sure that their kids are good, then they get home and the kids want this and that. It doesn't, it's not realistic. So when people insist that the kids will be fine, just have that kid, you are living in situations where you cannot afford a kid. And I'm so sorry, but sometimes we need to also admit that we cannot afford kids. A lot of us cannot afford kids for the mere fact that even us ourselves, we do not have medical aid. You know, our medical aid is the fact that we're praying to God that it keeps us safe. But we cannot afford kids. And I think that it is time that we are honest with each other and to ourselves. Then there's an argument of, oh, but I grew up poor and I turned out fine. Did you? Did you really turn out fine? Are you okay? And why are you not honest about all the things that you had to go through in order to get to where you are? And yes, your life is beautiful right now, but is it beautiful for all the other people that you left behind? Your peers are still where you left them. So was it really easy, or was the love enough that your parents gave you? Was it fun all the time with your siblings, even though you know that you cannot get that toy car at ShopRite? Why are we lying to each other? Why? Knowing that it was very hard for you to get anything that you liked. Yes, maybe your essentials were covered, but to get anything that you like. And it's also it's like a big thing if you get that KFC at the end of the month when your mom gets paid or your dad gets paid. Knowing that you've gone through that, why do you insist on bringing a kid and making them go through the same thing too? Sometimes I understand maybe you are building yourself and you have a deadline, or you are looking at milestones as to this is how it should look like. I should get married at this age, having a kid at this age. But is it realistic? Is it really your journey, or are you doing this because you want to make people happy and this is what society thinks is right? So it is something to really think about. Is it really essential for you to have a kid, especially right now? Are you not able to wait? Are you scared that people are going to make fun of you for having a baby late? And I can assure you it can happen for you if you wait, and it will be more favorable because not only will you be financially fine, but you'll also be more mature and more able to adapt to many things that come with having a child. Speaking of which, a lot of people think that if they have this child, the child will be the next doctor or someone that will help the family get rich at some point, or someone that is going to be the greatest motorsport car racer. I'm not sure how it's said, but like some, they will have some kind of talent. They will bring something to the family. And this was my argument on X the other day. I was saying to this person, your kid is most likely to be an average person than they will be great. And that is just the truth. A lot of us are just average. And are you able to accept that if you bring a child to this world, what if they end up just being a retail worker for the rest of their lives? Are you going to be okay with that? Or are you vicariously going to live through the kid because you did not get the chance to be a geologist and now they need to be the geologist so that you can be satisfied that your dreams are now fulfilled through the child, which is unfair because your child is an individual and there's nothing you can do about the trajectory of their lives and the decisions that they make. Yes, your child could turn out to be this amazing, great person who's going to change a lot of people's lives. But would you be able to handle it if they're not the best person and all they bring is stress? And particularly when we're talking about the black community and the situations that we live in, there is a channel called Moja Love and it's on DSTV. We see situations that are like, hey, they make us go, wow, like, yes, things may be bad in our families, but wow, this is very, very bad. And it's some instances where someone is stressed out over their child, someone's child is on drugs, someone's child is a person that steals, someone's child is partying every weekend, and it's causing havoc within the family, within the house. And I just want to understand why we just want to make problems over the problems that we already have. And I'm not saying that every child is going to be bad, but given that we live in the environments we live in, some of us cannot afford to bring our children in these particular systems that continue failing us. So you need to do better. You need to go the extra mile for your child to become something great. And sometimes it is out of your hands. Sometimes you can do all that you can to make sure that your child is the best at everything. You give them all that you have and all that you can, the resources. You get them to meet certain people to be their mentors. But if the child refuses, then there's nothing you can do about it. At the end of the day, they are individuals. So if that turns out to be your story, will you be able to handle that? Are you able to handle that truth? Or you just want to have a child to have a child? You really need to think about that. And with this video and what I'm saying, I just urge people to really think about why it is that they just want to push the importance of having kids. Is it that important, or is it us making it greater than what it is? And I understand that there are many things to consider, like aging, like family, community, and just the joy of seeing someone, from you, that is from you, getting raised. But I think the argument about, yeah, population relies on us having kids, it's not entirely true. There are people who are in foster homes, who need family. We need to think about them too. And they discarded. I just I want us to be a bit sensitive about the fact that you're bringing a whole human being here. It is not a toy. It is not something to, I don't know, parade about. It is a very important human being that you're bringing. You yourself as a parent, it is a great responsibility. It is a blessing, and I need us to treat it as such. Because if you're going to say that it's a blessing, but then you bring it into your already existing dire situation, if maybe you're bringing it to save your relationship, it is not the glue to mend whatever it is that is broken. And I'm talking also about family traumas. It won't fix what was broken. Your kid won't do that. And I think it is bad to give that responsibility to someone who doesn't know or did not agree to having it. So yes, this is just what I'm asking. Like, when you guys defend poor people having kids, people who are barely making ends meet, people who don't have proper infrastructure, shelter, water, electricity, people who live in shacks, people who live in 4-bedroom homes and there's like 10 of them, people who are still behind on credits, people who don't have stable jobs. You earn like 4,500 per month and you still need to take care of yourself. You still need to travel. You don't have a car. You don't have the appropriate education. Even with your partner helping you, you are suffering. So why are we chasing this so bad? And why is it so important? And why are you putting your trust in, yes, like the Bible is good for discipline and learning how to be a wholesome human being. I really do understand the importance of it. But when you're just going to take everything they say as word and you need to do this, then you are not understanding that you also need to meet God halfway. Because some of you, your journeys are not about having this kid or having kids or even having the marriage. I'm sorry to say, but sometimes it is really not for you, and you need to figure out, well, what is for you. Or maybe consider the fact that maybe God wants to put you in that situation at a much later stage in your life when you are secure and stable. Okay, so that's all I want to say today. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.